Okay, so I saw Garage Geek had put up his 70s comic book covers, and he had mentioned the guy who started this thread. I believe he put up his 70s comic book covers and 80s as well. And I subbed him today, and I wasn't aware of his channel. So anyway, I thought I would join in and show my 70s comic book covers. Back then, I really wasn't, in the 70s, I really wasn't collecting comics back then because I was in school and didn't have much money, and really didn't get back into comics until about I'd say the late 80s, where I met a guy that actually was making comics. He was, got to know him a little bit, and also there was a young woman and her husband that I had met in art school there in Odessa, and they were heavily into comics, so they kind of got me back into it. Once I got back into it, then if I ran across a comic that appealed to me that happened to be from the 70s or whatever, I just pick it up, not knowing when it came out or whatever. But anyway, I thought I'd run through these real quick. Now, for me, the 70s was best, sort of in a way, exemplified by Heavy Metal magazine. And of course, they came out with the movie much later on. But Heavy Metal showed a lot of European artists in it, and had a lot of science fiction, fantasy, sometimes maybe horror stories in it. So yeah, this is a bizarre cover, sort of almost horrific, from Heavy Metal magazine. There's also this one, the Savage Sword of Conan. This is #1. And Big John Buscema drew a lot of these, and he was also drawing, I believe, the regular series. But yeah, Savage Sword sort of got getting into Conan a lot then too. This is Jack Kirby's New Gods. And you can kind of see this planet here. Back then, Kirby would experiment with some of his artwork, and I believe this thing is a collage that he put into this panel that he drew. And so he collaged that on there. But yeah, this is New Gods #1. This is Thor 200. Pretty striking cover there, I think. It says The End of the World, Special 200, with Loki on the bridge. Marvel Spotlight on Red Wolf. I think the cover on this, or the artwork on the front, just kind of appealed to me. Western comic. Yeah. Some of these I picked up just for the covers. They made them look interesting. Adventure Comics, Black Orchid. Sort of a underrated, unknown heroine. I believe many years later, in fact, I still have mine. Neil Gaiman came out with a Black Orchid series that he did. So yeah, Black Orchid. Of course, Star Wars was really big back in the 70s due to the film. I know there's a particular issue of this Star Wars. This is a #1, but I don't think it's one of the more expensive ones. And I read on what to look for, the different, things to look for on the cover, and I don't think mine qualified. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting comic anyway, and kind of doesn't quite go along with the movie. I mean, it kind of has a little, few twists and turns in the story. But yeah, I thought the art was pretty good in it. This is from Atlas Comics, Morlock 2001. sort of a science fiction-y sort of horror comic. You have this kind of plant-like creature. And as I can remember, it was kind of a dystopian society that had created these plant creatures that were supposed to aid in their overthrow of humanity or whatever. But Morlock, 2001. Mr. Miracle, another Jack Kirby creation, sort of a escape artist or that he had invented. This is Batman 253, where he appears with the Shadow. They don't really necessarily team up, best I can remember. They just kind of appeared in the same comic. But yeah, interesting cover. This is the Demon, Etrigan, the Demon, #1 by Jack Kirby again. The Rhyming Demon, as I remember, his speech and balloons rhymed. And this is 2001, a Space Odyssey by Jack Kirby. This is the first one, and this is the second, which was his take on the Arthur C. Clarke, Stanley Kubrick film at that time. So, yeah, that's about all that I have. So all these were 70 comics, and hope you're all doing well. Maybe I can come up and pick out some 80s to go along with this. So we'll talk to you later.